joining us for the top 8 things to consider when selecting an advanced work packaging pilot. Andrew, could you please walk our viewers through the things that they should be thinking about?
Absolutely, Josh. And first up, and most importantly, people. People are going to be the critical factor in implementing an AWP project. The people will either make the project succeed or fail if they're willing to embrace AWP as a concept. So you need to make sure you select a team that's open to change and isn't going to be resistant to a new process. Next up, you're going to look at timing. We've talked in other sessions about how AWP is only most effective when you implement it early in a project phase. You want to make sure that you pick a project that's in FEL1, FEL2, early enough engineering that you still have time to make sufficient changes and optimize your path of construction, for example. You also need to have a contractor that's willing to embrace AWP. You need to work with people who are going to want to do this. Sometimes that's going to be done by an owner mandate saying you must do this. It's better to find contractors who are willing to do it without necessarily having that hammer from above. Talking about that top level support, another key concept is executive support. Is making sure you have somebody in the organization at a sufficiently high level who understands AWP and believes in AWP and can drive it throughout the organization. If all you've got is the people on the project team who believe in it, but the executive leadership don't, you're going to lose traction very, very quickly, and it's going to be hard to maintain. You also want to have a clear definition of what success is. At the end of the project, you're going to want to know, was AWP a success or a failure? But you need to understand what the definition of success was to understand whether the measurement you have for the results actually shows the success or failure of AWP implementation. You want to also look at technology and a technology champion. So you're going to want to have a technology platform that's going to support your AWP implementation and somebody whose job it is to make sure that that process is working and to be that critical point of contact for everybody who needs to feed into that AWP process. You need to have a project with sufficient complexity to reflect what you're trying to achieve with AWP. So if, for example, you're just targeting improvements in pipe, you need a project that has pipe as part of the scope. If you're targeting improvements across several disciplines, you need to have a project that incorporates those disciplines. So you don't want a tiny project, you don't want a massive project, you want something that's suitable for what you're trying to achieve. Then, and lastly, you want a project of sufficient length. And that's going to be key because you don't want one that's too short, which isn't going to allow you sufficient time to understand the benefits and the gains of AWP. But if you pick one that's too long, a 5-year project, and you're going to wait until the end of 5 years to learn your lessons and do your continuous improvement of your AWP process, it's going to take too long.
As always, Andrew, thank you for taking the time to join us. And thank you also for joining us. That's all we have for today.